War isn't only explosions on the news, casualty numbers, or lines drawn on a map. War is the subtle tremor that lives in our bodies every single day. In the jaw that clenches for no reason. In the chest that tightens when we scroll past hate comments. In the voice that suddenly rises when we feel attacked. In relationships that crack over one misunderstood sentence. We may never step onto a battlefield, yet we still carry the battlefield inside our nervous systems, inside our thoughts, inside the way we breathe or stop breathing. Carl Jung warned us long before the world became a 24-hour stream of human suffering. War doesn't only happen between nations. It happens inside the individual psyche and, even deeper, inside the collective unconscious, the vast psychic ocean that connects every one of us without us realizing it. When that ocean rages, its waves reach our private shores, even when we're just sitting at home with a cup of tea. If this reflection is touching something you felt but never managed to name, this is the moment we walk together. Turn on the notification bell and join the Metasitta channel. You'll help grow a small, safe space in the middle of this collective storm. Let's hold each other steady. War is never truly out there. It seeps into our collective nervous system like invisible smoke. When a nation fights, when groups are pitted against each other, when an us versus them story is strengthened every day, we are all affected, not just intellectually, but somatically, emotionally, spiritually. We are not separate islands. We are threads in a gigantic psychic web Jung called the collective unconscious. When that web floods with unprocessed trauma, fear, and rage, it spills everywhere, into our homes, our conversations, the way we look at others. You might feel it as an unexplained heaviness, as arguments that suddenly flare up for no clear reason, as the sense that nobody is really listening anymore. We call it stress, burnout, or that's just how things are now. But it is war, small-scale war living inside and between us. War always needs an enemy. It always needs the story, we are right, they are wrong. And that story doesn't appear out of nowhere. It is born from the shadow, from the parts of ourselves we reject, repress, or ignore. The more we deny our own shadow, the more powerfully we project it outward. That group is evil, that person is dangerous, that nation is a threat. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are, with our own wounds, fears, and unacknowledged rage. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Carl G. Jung. Jung taught something we still struggle to swallow. The leaders who bring war, whether with weapons, words, or propaganda, are not simply evil people. They are mirrors of a fractured collective psyche. They are the shadow made flesh, given a stage and a microphone. And the terrifying part, an unhealed society tends to raise them up, not because of wisdom, but because we recognize something in them. The same wounds, the same fears, the same rage, only they dare to say it out loud. When a population lives with unresolved trauma, unacknowledged colonization, unremembered defeats, collective shame never spoken of, they will look for figures who embody that fragmentation. And when those figures gain power, they don't heal the wound. They enlarge it, because an unintegrated shadow never stays quiet. It just looks for a bigger stage. This becomes deeply personal, because even if we reject war intellectually, its energy still leaks into our behavior. We blame faster. We shut down more easily. We snap at our kids for no clear reason. We inherit the silent script, the world is dangerous, and pass it on to the next generation without ever saying the words. Unresolved trauma never disappears. It simply changes hands. The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved, but only outgrown. Carl G. Jung. Inside our psyche live archetypes, ancient blueprints Jung called organs of the soul. They are not mere symbols. They are energy patterns ready to awaken at any moment. In times of peace, the same archetypes can become the hero, the healer, the wise one. But in times of war, physical or psychic, they become distorted. The hero turns into the warrior who never lowers the sword. The healer becomes the martyr who glorifies suffering. The wise one becomes the tyrant who controls out of fear of losing control. When war energy dominates the collective field, all of us, without realizing, start playing roles written thousands of years ago. We become victim, perpetrator, rescuer, or rebel without ever choosing. Propaganda works not because it convinces the mind, but because it awakens archetypes already sleeping inside us. That's why it feels so true, even when we know it's wrong. And the most heartbreaking part, in a world addicted to adrenaline, real peace starts to feel foreign. People who speak softly, move slowly, and show up fully are labeled too sensitive, too deep, or unrealistic. We say we want peace, but when genuine peace arrives, it makes us restless because peace asks us to feel. And most of us are already too full to feel. Jung didn't just diagnose humanity's soul sickness. He also offered the medicine, individuation, the process of becoming whole by facing, owning, and integrating the shadow. It's not easy work. It's not a weekend retreat fix, but it's the only work that truly changes everything, inside and out. When you begin to meet the tyrant in you, the victim in you, the warlord in you, with honesty and compassion, you reclaim the energy you've been projecting onto others. You stop needing an external enemy to feel right. You become harder to manipulate with fear. Because once you've met your own darkness, no one can weaponize it against you anymore. And here is the miracle Jung saw. Individual healing is collective healing. Every time one person stops projecting their shadow, the collective psychic web becomes a little cleaner. Every time one person chooses curiosity over defensiveness, listening over attacking, softness over armor, the world becomes a little more peaceful. Together we've walked through a difficult yet liberating truth. War is not only bullets and borders. It is the collective shadow alive in the tension of our bodies, in our us versus them projections, in archetypes that awaken when unresolved trauma floods the psychic field. But behind it all, Jung left us real hope. Peace is not a utopia. Peace begins with the courage of one person to face their own shadow, to integrate it, befriend it, become whole. Because only from individual wholeness can collective wholeness be born. Now let me ask you gently, have you ever felt the tremor of this collective war inside your own body? An unexplained anxiety, and sudden anger, and a growing sense of disconnection? And in the middle of it all, what has ever helped you find even a moment of real peace? Share in the comments. Your story might become breath for someone who feels like they're choking. And if this reflection touched you, share this video with one person you know is carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. Hit subscribe and turn on the Metacita bell, so whenever the world feels too heavy, you'll know there's a space waiting with open arms. Peace is not the absence of war. Peace is the courage to remain whole in the middle of it, and that courage starts inside you, right now, right here, one breath at a time.